About to start AEW Dynamite. This should be fun. Um, should be going live on X. Should be going live on Twitch. Should be going live on YouTube. Feel free to join. I am super excited to be with you today and watch some Dynamite. Hope everyone's day is going well. I know what's going on in your world. But I hope you're doing all right tonight. Jay White? Marina Shafir just picking up Renee Paquette. I love Jay White's cadences, the way he talks. I'm waiting for him to turn heel again because he's a way better heel, but I still love him in this role. You know, we haven't seen Orange Cassidy in a bit. Wonder what's going on with him. Just breaking shit. I hope everyone's doing all right tonight. I hope they're having fun. And I posted this right before we start. You know, I don't have a problem with people who like WWE. I don't have a problem with people supporting their product. I like AEW. But I think what's toxic is when we're more known for what we hate than what we love. And sometimes the internet wrestling community is just so negative. Just let people love what they love. You know, someone loving AEW doesn't mean it invalidates your love of WWE. It's this sick, toxic tribalism that is happening right now in the world that we see. You know, we're so ready to just make everybody our enemy these days. I love that about Jay White. I love Pac's spinning back kicks. Oh, oh, Love Jay White. You know what's great too is like if people get involved, it's a great way to introduce the gun club back in. Good stuff. Not a bad opening. I'm loving it. Gotta. You know, for a guy who doesn't know English that well, his delivery, his cadences, his humor is awesome. I'm excited for what like a face run looks like for him. I love Will Ospreay so much. It's like the worst and the best entrance ever. Just like a single note. Now we need Jeff Cobb. Come on, get Jeff Cobb out of here. I mean, like I could see Tony getting some criticism for this one because uh, there's no documentation of the heel turn, and Davis came out to support Osprey earlier. That said, like it's not so far fetched. And Davis got a nasty bruise on his back, his, his hamstring back there. That or he was cupping it because he's been injured. Ooh. Oh my gosh. It's nice to have Taz back and doing heel commentary. I hope Mark Davis decks him. All right, so I thought maybe for some of the Psycho Ed tonight on the show, we could do um, stuff on like what makes a good guy and why we emotionally connect with certain things and certain people. Um, There's a few angles that like I thought I'd go at this from. The first is like the most basic, and then I thought I could go into some more psychological theory. But like when I was thinking about this, like a good hero is relatable and has depth, right? Like I think if you watch like Marvel movies, Captain America became so much more relatable as he went on. Tony Stark's when he went from this playboy philanthropist who doesn't care about anyone to eventually being the guy who gave his life for everyone, right? Like, there's a sort of depth in transition and carving out of character and morality. And so, like, one thing we can do, right, that makes people relatable, people can't relate to perfection. People relate to flaws. People relate to struggles. People relate to emotions that feel real, right? So, like, this match we're watching right now, this might pull on some people's heartstrings because they feel like, you know, they've been betrayed by friends. They have had to work through the being backstabbed by people and the struggle of finding out who are your real friends and who really has your back, right? And so I imagine at some point in this match we're going to see Kenny Omega, and they're going to keep solidifying their relationship. But you see the inner struggle, right? Like Osprey has everyone who he's ever supported and loved turning against him. For a lot of people, that's very real. A lot of people have struggles with friends. A lot of people feel this with their family as they become adults. When the sort of veil of perfection relieves leaves parents, they see their humanity. Sometimes it can be hard because you can see the things that kind of messed you up, and so that makes someone like Osprey relatable in this match. A hero doubts themselves, and they have personal challenge, and is more just compelling than a perfect invincible character, right? And this is sometimes I think where even if you look at like superheroes, why Batman and why Iron Man, who were created by intelligence and creativity, are more relatable than Doctor Strange. You know, yeah. So we'll get back to it, but yeah, relatability and depth. Ooh, good knee by Davis. There's a lot of mullets right now in AEW. Just saying, a lot of mullets. Ah, you gotta love Osprey. Oh, I love that hook kick. Nice selling by Mark Davis. Man, when's Osprey gonna use the Tiger Driver 91 again? Ooh, good close line. Oh, what a brutal thing, right? Pinning him with your hand over his mouth. Oh, it'll be interesting as eventually if Kenny turns heel and like as a way to get Osprey over as the top babyface. I don't think it's a good thing like any time in the near future, but Kenny's a good heel. Pyro is insane. It was a good vignette. All right, let's go back some more Psycho Ed. What makes a hero a good guy that you want to cheer for? Clear motivation, right? So when their goal is understandable, meaningful, and it's like serve some common good for humanity, right? Like, um, you know, some of the most emotional scenes you see, like in a superhero movie, are Bruce Wayne trying to save a love interest, Spider Man trying to save a love interest, right? The Avengers trying to save the world from Loki or Thanos, right, against some evil, or personal redemption, right? Like we could even see that with like Tony Stark to go from this sort of arrogant to humble servant of humanity, right? Like it's pretty awesome. And clear motivation. I think this is why we feel so cynical about politicians now, right? Is like how many of them are seeking genuine justice? How many of them are seeking personal redemption, right? How many of them are trying to save a loved one? And this is not exclusive to one party, right? The personal redemption. I mean, we didn't ask Bill Clinton to reform after his affair to Monica Lewinsky. He just went off in the distance and came back, and everything was fine. Republicans aren't asking Trump to have personal redemption, to own his things, the crimes he committed. Democrats didn't hold Hillary Clinton for potentially deleting documents and emails, right? Like they didn't hold her accountable. And so it's the same thing, right? Like we're not holding Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos personally responsible for mistreating people, right? There's not justice. There's no personal redemption. They're not trying to save a loved one. These aren't heroes. That's why we feel cynical about this stuff. It feels like sometimes the villains are in charge. And this, like I said, this is not about alienating one singular party. This is about recognizing that the system, which a hero would fight, is corrupt, right? It's why we love Gandhi. It's why we love Martin Luther King. It's why we love Mother Teresa, right? It's why we love Princess Diana. It's why we love Joan of Arc. It's why a lot of Christians believe in Jesus. Not all of them, you know, but many of them. There's this clear motivation, right? And that's something we can get behind. Mother Teresa had this statement about the difference between power and authority. Power is a police officer who pulls you over, and the only reason you pull over is you don't want to get shot, you don't want to get arrested. You know, power is a politician who's forcing laws on you, right? So that the only reason you obey is because you don't want to go to jail. Authority is Mother Teresa. It's Martin Luther King, right? It's like you feel so compelled in their vision, in their motivations, in their desires that you want to support them, you want to follow them, right? And I think for like politicians, I think that's why some people got behind people like Ron Paul. That's why some people get behind Bernie Sanders, right? Is that they're not so connected to the system. People believed in their visions. So I think that's why like these are like are heroes and villains. I love MVP. They're so over. Love this. This is a good manager spot right here. Putting them over still. Woo! Maybe it's a young buck spot here, right? Get a young buck spot. Yeah! Guns! I love Bobby Lashley. Not acknowledging him. Not acknowledging him. I was going to call him some ass boys. Ah, nice return. Good to see the Gun Club back. Don't see him winning, but I'm excited. Harley Cameron's so over. This puppet is genius. Harley Cameron is on top of her game right now. I mean, she's so entertaining. She might be the most entertaining part of Dynamite right now, and that's not like knocking everybody else. She's just killing it. All right, let's get back to some more Psycho Ed. All right. Why we cheer for good guys, right? Underdog factor, right? I'm thinking of Daniel Bryan, thinking of Hangman Page coming out of his alcoholism, right? Um, I think Sami Zayn last year during his WWE run. We love cheering for someone who's up against impossible odds, whether it's a lone hero, right, against a corrupt system, a warrior facing a stronger enemy, ordinary person caught in extraordinary circumstances, right? Like, I don't know if anyone's seen that movie Kick Ass out there. But that's sort of like that, right? He's an ordinary person who just kind of got impossibility to break his bones. Wolverine, right? Warrior facing strong enemy, right? It's like, you know, and sometimes we see that whether it's in movements too, right? Whether it's Me Too or it's um, George Floyd or whether it's Occupy Wall Street, right? Is this idea of this collective going against an institution that's stronger than them? It's an underdog thing, right? Daniel Bryan against the authority in wrestling history is the perfect example of this, right? Sting going up against NWO, such a great example of this. Even back in the 80s, right? Like Hogan going against Andre the Giant. Great example of this. It's something that people can relate to, something that is done well, right? And I think like when you see it go bad, like the underdog factor, it kind of kills things, right? Like I think sometimes people feel that way right now about Moxley and Death Riders, about being this kind of strong enemy and no one's really matching up to it. You saw that with the authority in WWE, and people got tired of seeing Vince and Stephanie coming out, starting a promo, and that match starts now, right? Like that stuff. We want to see. I think that's why people like Darby Allin, right? He's small, um, and he does everything right to win. So the underdog factor, and that's why you know people are even drawn to political movements like Marxism, right? Because it's about social class warfare. It's why people are drawn to the movement of Jesus and Gandhi and Martin Luther King, right? It's going up against a stronger systemic enemy. Jesus was killed by religious and political leaders. Same with Gandhi, same with Joan of Arc, right? So you see that. So Oh, this guy's gonna die. You know, people are hating the show tonight. They're just haters. There's so many good like even just like little things, right? Like that segment was funny. Harley Cameron was funny. The way that maybe it's just Renee because like uh, Marina Shafir just picked up Renee. I mean, if anyone's going to take the belts off of or her syndicating times, it probably should be the Hounds of Hell. Oh, Brody. Man, I love this new haircut for Brody. Love that high fade. Man, that crossbody was awesome. Yeah. You can tell that Brody and Buddy are having fun. All right, go back to some mental health stuff. Get back. All right, so we just covered the underdog factor, right? Pro wrestling. We can think of um, Daniel Bryan, right? Bryan Danielson, Sami Zayn, right? Even like recently, right? Like top or Private Party had some of that going on for them. All right, moments of bravery or sacrifice. When a protagonist makes a tough choice, puts themselves at risk, or sacrifices for others, it builds admiration and investment in their journey. Right. So like in like the modern era, like we see this, right? How cool is like Darby Allen because of what he's willing to sacrifice for his body. That emotionally resonates with people. Wardlow, when he did the Swanton bomb off of the ladder, builds that sacrifice. It builds rapport with people. You know, you go the Attitude Era. You know, all those tag matches with Cope and Christian Cage, with Hardy Boys, and with um, Devon and Bubba, right? Um, and just people who just like are sacrificed, right? Because it's like it when people play it safe, and I get why a wrestler would. Um, it doesn't hit the sacrifice thing. What are you willing to sacrifice, right? I think if you watch like MMA, it's why people resonate with Justin Gaethje so much or Dustin Poirier so much because, or Dan Hooker, which by the way, next month, March 8th, my birthday, uh, Hooker versus Gaethje. I mean, that is talk about sacrifice, right? Tony Ferguson was that way, right? It hits something in us that makes us want to root for someone because you could see how they're leaving it all out there. When I watch basketball, it's what makes you fall in love on the court with guys like Jimmy Butler, or even more extreme examples. It's what makes you fall in love with a guy like Mark Madsen or Kurt Rambis. It's this what they're willing to sacrifice. They put every little bit of energy and love back into it, um, and right and to go right Sting. I mean, how many crazy jumps did Sting take in his AEW run? That makes you fall in love with someone, right? And it's like, and when you're like in a real relationship, when someone makes noble sacrifices for you, like my wife does this for me all the time, it's so much easier to fall in love with them when they're instead of somebody who's self-absorbed, entitled, arrogant, who is self-absorbed, right? Like that makes you serve their agenda. Um, that doesn't really build a good hero. Um, and so like it's what makes us fall in love with wrestling or in those baby faces. Hey, I just want to say thank you. 56 of you watched tonight on Twitter, others on YouTube and on Twitch. It's super cool. And like, been doing this for less than 2 months, and I got like 57 followers, which isn't much, but it's super cool, right? Like, um, it's I hope that people benefit from this, right? We talk about pro wrestling, but we're talking about life while we're doing it, and the connections between pro wrestling and life. I love the no sell. But I think that cheer right there, right, is exactly what we're talking about the sacrifice, right? They are so tired, even in the storytelling, that they just collapse, right? Because they're sacrificing everything they have to win this. Be interesting to see if Okada costs Buddy the match. Matthews. Once again, right, there's that moment of bravery, right? That sacrifice. He's putting everything on the line. That can't feel good. You saw what happened to McDonough, right? Like doing something like that. I mean, the guy like slammed and snapped his neck off the announce table. Right, last year too, right? With I think or a couple years ago with Cody when he tore his pec. That's how people felt, right? It's that moment of sacrifice. Here we go. Oh. Boom. Oh. I seriously think that Fletcher is in some way trying to be Randy Orton to an extent. Like his look, his tattoos, his physique is very Randy Orton esque. That's not a bad thing. Mm. The fans did not want that. All right, quick restroom break. What kind of mom is Mother Wayne who just allows her son just to get assaulted like that? Bam. Great promo. Dustin's always a great promo. I wouldn't mind like an MJF storyline where he's like the new Randy Orton, the legend. Oh, make him the legend killer. All right, back to some more psychology stuff. All right. Charisma and hero. A hero with charm or the great sense of humor naturally draws people in. Serious characters benefit from moments of levity that make them feel more human, right? Like I love that in like um, that scene in like the Avengers where Captain America asks Stark like, well, "Who are you if you're not Iron Man?" And he said, "Billionaire, philanthropist, playboy." Right? Like it was just like a nice moment of breaking the tension. Um, I think even right now, right? Like he's not very popular right now, but Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Um, he's somebody whose character kicks a lot of ass, but is genuinely funny, right? Even you see like that, like with Thor. Like Thor is he has a way of making you like him because of his humor, right? Everything like from Fat Thor in the Avengers, right, to um, yeah, I mean it's just like and like Thor is like a great character for that, right? And like heck, right? Like even like you take comedians, like Shane Gillis at the moment, like Shane Gillis has said some very controversial things, and yet people are just drawn to him because he's so funny. Um, Things that would have gotten other people canceled, Shane Gillis gets away with because of his humor. Um, yeah, and so like these moments where they can break from such seriousness helps us relate to them in a more human way. And like you see that with Max, right? Max has this very dark, cynical, jaded, traumatized personality, and yet he'll just throw zingers out there. Orange Cassidy, somebody who um, it just does his like kicks right, and it just makes people laugh. I mean, that scene with Sting where they both kick each other, some of the best stuff. Danhausen, very nice, very evil, right? And so it's that very nice side of being funny, of making people swallow teeth, dropping to his knees, punching him in the nuts, um, and calling people the ass boys, right? Yeah, it gets him over. Um, it makes you want to cheer him. It makes you like him. It gets you on his side. Um, every time Danhausen moves so much merchandise, he's so popular. He's so over. Yeah, he never wrestles. You could argue whether or not Tony Khan is dropping the ball with that, right? Um, and if you think about even like just like your interactions, you feel better around your funny friends. You feel better around your core, more charismatic friends who get you to take leaps of faith, to do adventurous things, right? Like you get behind those people. Yeah, Mariah May earlier, right? The puppet gets her over. She's so likable. You want to cheer for her because you like this puppet. That woman's face, right? Even right. You think about heel and the heel commentary. Nigel, like you like him because he simps over Mariah. All right, back to some psychology stuff. Growth and change make characters evolution and arc, right? If we think about our personal lives, um, relationships after we failed and we have learned and grown end up oftentimes becoming stronger, right? It goes back to we don't love perfect people, we love people in front of us. And so when that person's willing to work through some things, right, to maybe they've overcome a fear, they've learned a lesson, they become stronger, right, they've changed their character, it makes you fall in love with them, right? Once again, we'll go back to Tony Stark and how he overcame that grandiosity, that narcissism, that arrogance, to become selfless. It makes you fall in love with him, right? People start relating more to Captain America when he learned a lesson about the corruption of systems and became more true to himself and fought for things he believed in, not just systems. Fought for the people. Um, right? You look at wrestling, the Hangman story, right? Was so great because he overcame like this drinking stuff. He overcame um, the rejection and abandonment wounds that he carried from the elite, and befriended the Dark Order, right? And he's learning to trust people and care about things again. Right now, we see that character arc growing again, right? He's moving past this heel persona who hates Swerve Strickland, kind of going back to we see a gray baby face transition happening right now, and he's growing and he's learning. It makes you want to cheer for him. Um, yeah, um, yeah. So like all that, right, and like in real life, right? Like so we when somebody makes a change, right? I've been getting a lot of applause since October. I've lost 60 pounds. That change has been hard. People have recognized that. They've cheered me on. They've supported me. They care about me. It's really appreciated. Um, just like in the other wave, you know, people who are overcoming psychological struggles. I think that's one of my jobs as a therapist is if I can to guide someone, but at the other same time to be um, support and a cheerleader for their victories, support and a cheerleader through failed attempts to move forward and make their lives better, right? Those are all things that make you want to cheer for someone. Jaime is breaking. Like her makeup is so spot on. Yes. Oh, I love a Dustin promo. what makes me sad is like I was watching stuff from like WWE from like his last run there, and like the stuff like the list and like Stupid Idiot, like that's genuinely funny. This stuff, it's not that good. Like Bill's good. Put this on Revolution, right? In a meat match. All right, so I thought I'd touch one more part of this, like hero psychology, right? And this comes from like more like psychological theory, um, and uh, you can watch people like Jordan Peterson, who love Carl Jung. A lot of people love Carl Jung, and Carl Jung is like Freud in like a lot of ways, where there's a lot of stuff that he talked about that have stuck in society today, and that stuff is great. Um, and um, like developmental psychology, and a lot of Jung did a lot of that stuff, and a lot of stuff doesn't really stick. But so one of them is like Jung. One of Jung's idea was he was obsessed with what is called archetypes, and then he had like the hero archetypes, which can be broken down into like six aspects. And I'll get this done before the show ends. But uh, the first key characteristic of the archetype of a hero is the call to adventure. All heroes have a challenge or a journey they must undertake, usually one that requires courage, right? So if we look at the storyline right now, with the Death Riders, this has been this hero's journey has been taken up by Rated FTR, Orange Cassidy, and Darby Allin and Jay White. And so it's this call to adventure, usually something that takes courage, because the Death Riders are going to beat the crap out of you. And the second part is separations and trial, right? The hero is going to face hardships and tests and obstacles that forge their character. And we see that right now, right? Jay White is stepping up. He's facing these hardship, these tests. Rated FTR, same thing, right? We see this with Cope tonight. That clearly Mox is going to put barriers in front of Copeland to get to him. Mentorship and allies, a guide or a mentor often aids the hero in their quest, along with loyal companions, right? So if you look at Jay White or Cope, they've got rated FTR. Jay White also has like the guns and Juice Robinson. We look at Orange Cassidy. He had the conglomeration. He also used to have the best friends, right? And so there's like these things, this hero journey. You could look at movies, right? And it's like Frodo had his friends that came along with him on this hero's journey. He had trials and separations, a call to adventure, something that he didn't necessarily want to do. So, and then a big one, and this is Jungian psychology that is really prevalent in society today. I see it a lot in a lot of pop psychology, but it's the confrontation with what he called the shadow. The shadow is recognizing the flaw, the fear, the weakness, the brokenness in you, and then learning how to heal it and mend it so that you overcome that obstacle of yourself to become the hero, right? I'll get to the other two before the end of the episode. Good start by Ricochet. That's how you get some good heat. They're doing a good job right now with Ricochet as a heel. Really building this well. We do a Spanish fly off the railing. Oh! Holy cow! Okay, so finish this up, right? With the Jungian psychology and the hero. So the hero uh, has transformation. Through struggle, the hero grows and transcends their former self, gaining wisdom and power in the process, right? And so it's like you could see it as it's like Captain America. He overcame something. Uh, he saw the corruption. He gained wisdom and knowledge of the world, and new resiliency, and what was really important to him, right? Which is ultimately why he ended up leaving. Um, you know, like a transformation, right? You see this with common like coming of age stories, right? When boys become men. Um, in movies like a lot of Judd Apatow comedy movies have this, from 40-Year-Old Virgin to Knocked Up to where there's this growth, this coming of age, this becoming a man story. And you see that in the hero, right? And whether it's Andy from 40-Year-Old Virgin or Seth Rogen's character in Knocked Up, um, right? We see this transformation. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, and so that's a big part, right? It's this transformation. All right, and then after achieving their goal, the hero returns to society to bring newfound knowledge, strength, or change. Um, a cool movie that's out over the past 10 years of this is The Equalizer, right? He saw the corruption of his life of being this kind of mercenary assassin type, and he decides to return to society and to defend the people there with the skills that he had from there. And Denzel is this perfect archetype of a hero, right? And just going to the other stuff. He's very flawed. He's done a lot of horrible things, and yet he comes back from that life with new knowledge and strength. So if you want to go to classic mythology, hero archetype, Hercules, right? Um, if you want to go to literature and film, King Arthur, Frodo, Harry Potter, kind of all fit this, right? Modern culture, Superman, uh, Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games, and Neo from the Matrix. So the hero is, from Jung's perspective, is a journey of becoming one's true self, of the individuation, when a person must face their inner and outer challenges to become that true version of who they have always been, but allowing it to emerge. Man, how much longer they can go? We're at 9:03 in Central Time, right? We're already over. Usually they allow for 5 to 7 minutes, but this is a short match. It's hard to think that they're going to wrap this up in 2 minutes. This storyline. I don't want to hear any shitting on this show from, Dirt Sheets or Bubba Ray or Bischoff or Vince Russo. This is again a good show. Like, I'm tired of these haters out there. There's gonna be segments that not everybody likes, right? But overall, the show has been really good, and I think I'm so tired of those guys because yes, they're not always wrong. There are flaws in the AEW program, but there's flaws in WWE. I mean, they shit on Tony for not booking Ricky Starks. But Triple H is not getting that level of flack right now for not booking Austin Theory, right? He's not getting it for not booking AJ Styles a lot over the last few months, right? Nothing's perfect, and you can't make everyone happy, but you can make most happy, right? And if you watch this crowd, these people are happy. I think what I'm just tired of is I'm tired of the unfairness of the criticism. I'm waiting for the scissors. Oh! Oh! Man, I hope they have good plans for Ricochet because you don't want to hand too many losses to Swerve Strickland. I don't know if this is like his way back into the Hurt Syndicate, like everybody's seeing this, right? Because all right, guys, it's a good show. Yeah, so recap, right, of what we talked about tonight. Why we cheer somebody, relatability and depth. We believe in their motivations, the underdog factor, right? That they're willing to make sacrifices to continue their story. There's something charismatic and humorous about them. What a great example by Harley Cameron for that tonight and why she's so over. Growth and change, right? We see this all the time, right? With like Hangman right now, he's changing back into a babyface and makes us want to cheer him again. Going into the Jungian psychology, right? That the hero is somebody called to an adventure, a challenge, a journey, to make an impact for their own maturation and development. In that journey, they have to have separation trials. A lot of times, they have a good set of friends, right? And so maybe that's what we're missing tonight with this word Strickland, right? Yes, he has Prince Nana, but he's lost matches recently because he hasn't had these companions. A confrontation with the shadow, right? We're seeing that right now with Hangman again. He's recognizing the faults of his actions and how his shame of not protecting his family has created this horrifying, brutal human being. Then the transformation into the hero, right? That they didn't start the journey as a hero, but they become it throughout that journey. And then the return back to society, right? A lot of times we can get this even in wrestling, right? We think about Kenny Omega right now, that he has returned from all these horrifying injuries, and he was transformed by overcoming them and returning back to AEW. We get that with Cope recently too. And so then into the how these archetypes are portrayed in fictitious things, right? Hercules, King Arthur, Frodo, Harry Potter, Superman, Katniss Everdeen, Neo from the Matrix. So that's a recap of the psychoeducation. I hope you enjoyed it. I feel really grateful. A lot of people checked it out on Twitter. I don't know how long they did, but it's going up every week. So I'm just really grateful. I hope this is beneficial to people. Um, yeah. Feel free to follow me on X. Um, and I hope you have a good night. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you're safe, and I hope um, you're feeling okay tonight. If you're struggling, please reach out to someone. Reach out to a therapist. Reach out to a psychiatrist. Reach out to a friend who will listen to you, validate you, try to understand you, care about you, help you find what you need. Family members, same way. Um, if you have a good church, reach out to a pastor. If you are Jew, please reach out to a rabbi. Yeah. Um, these are insane times right now. Let's try to keep sane in it, and I hope that we can be kind to one another. I hope you have a good evening. Thank you for everything.